Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be trying out the biggest golf brand in golf that you probably didn't even know was in golf. These clubs are direct to consumer. They're part of one of the biggest sports groups in the world. They're pretty cheap and could be poised to take the golf world by storm. But until this year, I'd never heard of them. So these golf clubs are from Anisis. And yes, I know that sounds like an inner ear infection. It actually means to be witty and charming or something like that. So Anisis are a brand within a brand, and they're part of a huge company which I didn't even realize. I really can't wait to see in this video if these off-the-shelf clubs can actually compete with some of the biggest manufacturers out there. So make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video to see that test. So to see where these clubs are from, I sent off my social media man. This is Kieran, he's only just started working for us. And we thought, you know what better way to introduce him to a video than send him out to scout where these clubs are actually from.
So yeah, let's go in, let's see what it's all about and see what sort of stuff they got, in particular, obviously golf. I'm so excited, I left the blooming keys in the car. So we're into the golf section now, and it's clear that Anisis is obviously the brand within Decathlon. So this is their own brand, Anisis. They do sell stuff like FootJoy, and looks like they've got a bit of Nike down there as well. But Anisis is kind of their own brand. And just looking along now, got some bags, tailor-made bags, loads of clothes for sale here, waterproofs, and then Anisis bags. So like, they're really kitty out, to be honest. Kids clubs, looks like they've got a putter here at the moment. What's this one like? Oh, very nice. Nice. What else they got here? All gloves. Oh, I need a golf glove actually. Some balls there as well. Tees, they got everything. Just more coat hangers. Don't really understand what they're selling there. Beats me. Well, all in all, undercover mission done. Find Anisis. Very cool. I was going around and I was like, I've lived a sheltered life in Dorset. We haven't got anything like that. But no, all in all, very good, Pete. Back to you in the studio.
So yeah, Decathlon. Who knew? I've not been in a Decathlon in ages. I used to love it when I was a kid, and they are all over the world. They're a much bigger company than I actually thought they were. I naively assumed that they were more of a British thing, but they're not. They're absolutely all over the world, which means that wherever you're watching this, there's a good chance that you'll probably be able to have access to these clubs if you think they're interesting. And that's good for this video, because even though it's an in-shop club, so you can only actually get it from Decathlon, it means that they're going to be accessible for a lot of people. I've also had a look at the website. You can order offline, because I think when Kieran went, it wasn't very well stocked, was it? So it's also something to bear in mind. Also, at the end of this video, I'm going to be looking at the prices of these clubs, because before I've been sent them, when Kieran went to Decathlon and during testing, I have not looked at any of the prices. All I know is that I've been told that they're cheaper than some other brands out there. That's all I know. And while you're here, guys, remember to hit that subscribe button, wallop that like button with unbridled enthusiasm, and get down into those comments below. Let us know what you think about these clubs. So the clubs that I'm testing out are the Anisis 500. Now those are in the irons, the driver, the fairway woods, the hybrid, and the wedges. I've got them in a regular shaft. They're an NS Pro. And straight away, as these clubs go behind the ball, I mean, they aren't subtle. They've got a very, very long face. They've got this huge bit cut out the toe. Quite a big offset as well. I mean, these look like very forgiving, very don't go right type of irons. One thing which I'll say about them straight away, and we'll kind of have to test this out a little bit more. Early in the round, I'm not warmed up. I've hit a real couple of slappy shots, like really, really slappy. And they've actually managed to get, and that's front edge. That was a much better strike. Very high flight. That's pretty easy distance as well, to be honest. I'll have to check the lofts of these. Yeah, well, that's right down it. It doesn't feel like I'm going to be able to hit kind of like a consistent fade with these, but it also kind of feels that I'm not going to have to put too much effort into hitting them as well. So this one's an interesting one actually. So that's front edge, that's got about 140, and I absolutely towed it. Just hit a couple of chips with the 60 degree. I don't think me and this 60 degree are going to be particularly good friends. Yeah. Well, I'll stop on that, to be fair. How a wedge looks really matters to me, and that looks... that leading edge kind of sits very flush to the ground, and it doesn't look like it's got a whole lot of bounce angle. Might have to have a look at that in the studio, just measure it, but yeah, when he sat down there. So first up, let's test the wedges. So 60 degree in the Anisis versus 60 degree in my Vokey SM8. And all I'm looking for here is just general spin rates, because we can talk about how they look, and I certainly prefer the way that the Vokey sits. So let's just have a look at pure spin numbers. I've got a 75-yard shot, just going to be clipping these Anisis balls away. Start off with this 500 as well. Oh, wow. Gym this morning's paying off. Jesus. Damn, I sound like a tennis player. Okay, so same target, same distance. Just now with the Vokey wedge. So feel-wise for me, the Vokey is also much better. It just feels like a lot spinnier. Feels a little bit more reactive off the face. So comparison between these wedges, I mean, there's not loads to split them. On average, the backspin with the Anisis was 9,957 revolutions per minute, and the Vokey was 10,205. So we're only talking on average about 300 revs of difference between these two clubs. Feel-wise, the Vokey just felt better. Launch angles were about the same, everything else was pretty much the same. Vokey just spinning a little bit more. But for me, with wedges, and certainly with a lob wedge, it is more about that adaptability. Whenever you stick something with a lot of loft and decent grooves and a little bit of roughness on that face, they're going to be spinning around the same. You've obviously still got to produce a decent club, and well, yeah, 60 degree feels all right. It's not exciting me, but it's decent. It's all right. So I've got 237 yards to the back of this green, but we are slightly downwind. So I think, judging by what I've seen so far, it's just it's a solid 7, I think. Oh, it just goes so high. I know it's a slightly distorted perspective because we're very raised here. Even so, it's like, I don't know, it's just a bit of like an Apollo mission when you hit it. Ah, it's decent actually. Oh, you know what? Now that one, so we'll have to test this out with a little bit of data. Might jump back into the studio now. That one was a toe strike and it went straight. It was tracking straight down, but again, it's come up short. So these irons look like they should be super forgiving. Let's see if they are. Oh, that was really good. That's really good, actually. So onto the irons in a clash of the Titans. I'm going to be testing Anisis against one of the undisputed kings in the forgiveness category, the Ping G425. Also going to be having a look at forgiveness here as well, because something I noticed on the golf course, even though there was a substantial drop off in distance, the accuracy of these Anisis irons was actually pretty decent. So I've got 190 yards here. I'm going to be testing 6-iron against 6-iron. Let's get these Anisis ones hit away and then move on to those pings. Now what a great example that is. So that was toe. Ah, look at that, man. That's good. Backspin right down, but Like, carry distance was great. I'll reiterate what I've said on the golf course. There's a huge offset on these irons. I don't know why they've cut that bit off the toe. I'm guessing it's because of weight saving. Obviously got that bit of a hollow construction going on these irons as well. They look strange, but they feel good. They do feel decent. And distance control on them was great. Again, that wasn't an amazing strike. Just a very quick interlude here. That's 7 out of 7 greens so far at 190 yards. Not all of these strikes have been that good. It's not like I'm just chipping onto a green here. Right, I've sliced it. I've sliced that. It's a bad swing. Ace out of 8. Maybe a slight issue with these clubs is this grip. It's one of those, it's getting a little bit warmer in here, hands slightly sweaty, and I can just feel them moving all over. So we're going to move on to the ping, and we'll see if this is just a case of me swinging it all right. A couple of things to point out straight away. The face kind of seems to be marking up pretty quickly, but the finish on these clubs is like that brushed steel, I think you'd call it. So I would expect them to mark up quite quick. Let's see how it does against the ping. That actually was really good. And I don't often say that. I often caveat that with a few things, but that was just really good. Really good. Now straight away, the refinement on the pings is so much better. What Ping have managed to do in recent years with their performance irons, which I would loosely group into a category aimed at higher handicappers, is there's a lot of technology going into these, but they actually managed to hide it and package it really well. So as far as a looks and aesthetic standpoint go, the Pings are much better in my opinion. Wow, what a difference in sound. Yeah. What a difference in sound straight away. Little bit more distance it appears as well. They sound so different. So different. I feel that with these pings as well, I actually took a little bit off that. So I think ball speed and distance is probably going to be a little bit better with the ping. With distance, it depends how you define better. I define better there by going further. It's not always the best thing with an iron, obviously. Control of distance is more important. So that was similar. That was like a slicey, nasty shot. Is it going to hold on? Just on the fringe? That was a massive compensation. That's such a bad pull. That's got to miss the green, yeah. In all fairness, that's nothing to do with the club. That was just me having a really bad swing at that one. Start to get that feeling a bit more with these irons. However, let's have a look at this comparison. It's going to be quite interesting. So I'm going to have to try and find a loft comparison between the two 6 irons just to make sure there's no huge differences there. But the data shows actually some striking similarities between these two clubs. So the Ping was flying a little bit further and it actually had more ball speed, so 3 miles an hour more ball speed off the club face. It was also spinning a little bit less. So the Anisis was spinning at 5,400 revs a minute, whilst the Ping was down at 5,060. Launch angles very, very similar, and carry distance 187 for the Anisis versus 194 for the Ping. So we're talking about 7 yards of difference on average between the carries. Now the data is very, very comparable because actually with my swing, I was pretty consistent. So efficiency of strike, 129 for the Anisis versus 132 for the Ping. So the Ping was coming off slightly more consistently and with more of a better ratio between club head speed and ball speed. Club head speed is pretty much the same at 99, 0.6 and then 0.9 respectively. Dynamic loft, so the Ping was delivered just over a degree stronger at the point of impact, and that might equate for some of the spin numbers in the carry distance. So with the Anisis, actually straight away, the strike was very central and the flight was actually a lot straighter than I thought. I thought that the Anisis would be a little bit more like the Ping, so it'd go off to the left-hand side, because there is a noticeable offset on that golf club. And one of the biggest surprises, I actually preferred the feel of the Anisis. Strike-wise, it felt really good. It felt quite soft, it felt springy and powerful, whereas the Ping feels powerful but a lot firmer. So this High Launch 500 driver, I actually really like the look of it. It's very utilitarian, it's very simple, but it actually sits behind the ball really nice. I'm not going to be able to have a true accurate comparison of distance just because of the shaft, and to be honest at the moment I don't even know the loft of it. But behind the ball and the feel from the ones I've struck so far, solid. Holding this flight really well. So onto this Anisis driver. Now it's a 12 degree, so it says High Launch on the club, but that's a 12 degree driver. We've got a regular shaft, actually a UST shaft as well, so decent quality. And just your standard kind of tall velvet grip. It's got a little bit of a graphic on the top, which again is okay. Very utilitarian on the bottom. There doesn't appear to be overtly much going on here. It's just a very simple looking driver. Now, obviously this isn't spec for me. So all I can really give you is a general sensation about how it's feeling, and also a little bit more about forgiveness. Now the first thing to say about how this feels, actually pretty decent. When you're striking it, it feels relatively powerful. Obviously with the loft and with the shaft, I can't really go at it too much. But that's pretty interesting. So that was a long way out of the neck, and it's kept its accuracy pretty well. Up at 263. Yeah, it's spinning up. I mean, it's keeping very straight. Is that going to center line it? Go on. Oh, man. Oh, so close. Tell you what, I'm hitting it straight. I am hitting it straight. DL. What was that carry? 284 carry. 25 spin. 119 club speed. Maybe a bit out the top of the club, which reduced spin a touch. Let's have one more. Nice. Okay. So my club speeds there are about 116 miles an hour on average. Now I think that's a little bit too much speed to be putting through that particular shaft. And obviously with a high lofted version, I was always going to get a little bit more backspin than I would like to see. The ball isn't coming off the face maybe as quickly as some of the other drivers that I've tested. The only thing I don't really have the capability of today is to hit it against another regular shafted driver. But the carry distance and the total distance and the accuracy that I saw with those drives, that was pretty impressive. And I have to say that the feel of it, it doesn't feel like a cheap driver. Again, I don't know how much it costs yet, but it feels just as good as some of the other ones that I've hit, if not as explosive in distance. Now what we're gonna do is have a little bit of a sit down and see what these prices are. So I don't know, I'm hoping that they're like ridiculously cheap. Like the value's good, but we'll see.
So the HL Driving Club, 149.
149. Well, if you compare that to like the retail prices of the drivers around the moment, are you looking upwards of 400 quid for the new stuff? That's really good. That's actually really, really good value for how that feels. Obviously, you don't quite get the specs that you might get in some of the other drivers, so we're talking shafts and that custom fitting experience. From what I know about Anisis clubs and the research I've done, is they do have a fitting guide, but it's pretty loose. At least they're making the effort, but it's pretty loose. That's good. At 150, can't complain at that.
So the wedges, £49.
Nice. That's good. I would say that they are very, very good wedges. If you are a beginner, you're starting out and you want some higher lofted, I'd say that if you want a little bit more around the greens, I think Vokey or Cleveland, something like that. But again, cost-wise, you're looking almost a third of the price. So if you're not that bothered about opening up a wedge and like being adaptive around the greens, yeah, good. Everything so far, so the irons are to come next, but everything so far I would say is that little bit lower than I thought it'd be. So everything's just that tiny bit cheaper than I thought. And that's a good thing for me. That's a positive.
So the irons, 5 to pitch and wedge, 349.
Oh. So the Ping G425 6 to pitching wedge, they're 689. And that's just the first result that came up from a reputable online dealer here in the UK. So 349 for the Anisis, 689 for the Ping. I think apart from the obvious benefit that getting fit for a set of pings would do, and I think from my experience when you go to a ping fitter, they are some of the best out there. The difference in price, which is pretty much double, there's not double the performance. Well, I think I might just leave everybody with that one. Thanks for watching. Get into the comments, let me know what you think, and we'll see you next time.